Greetings, brothers and sisters. It's your brother, Sundin Esperance, or as some of you may know me as the podcast man. Today, we back again with another episode of Married in Holiness, and glory to God. One of you are like, hold on, can you be married to yourself in this way? No. It's we have today, brother Tyshonn, and as y'all see the peak of his wife putting his head in there. It's just some people are camera shy and so forth. But the goal is, brothers and sisters, is that y'all get educated and thrive after these podcasts. So then we have brother Tyshonn and sister Danielle. How are y'all doing this afternoon?
We're doing good. Doing good, man.
We're doing well.
Fantastic.
Pretty good. Can't complain.
Wonderful. Thank you for having us.
No, thank y'all for coming. Thank y'all for coming. As I say, moreover, brothers and sisters, I'm truly grateful and thankful for y'all taking the time, especially those of you with kids and lives, and y'all are really busy. So for taking the time and just giving me the time to come on and share your testimony, or whether it be your testimony of Married in Holiness, I'm truly grateful and appreciative of it. Before we get into brothers and sisters, as always, this podcast affiliates itself with one church and one church only, that is First Church of our Lord Jesus Christ, where the leader, teacher, and guide is Apostle Pastor Gino Jennings. If you're looking to be baptized right in the name of Jesus Christ, go on truthofgod.com, click locations, and see what location is closest to you, and you can set your baptism up, whether it be with the local minister there or the main point of contact, which would be the secretary, and y'all can schedule your baptism. If you're looking for a first church to attend, same process. Go on to truthofgod.com, click locations, and see what location is closest to you. As always, brothers and sisters, I give all honor and praise to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I give double honor to the former prophets and apostles of old, double honor to our current day leader, teacher, and guide, Apostle Pastor Gino Jennings. And I give God thanks for the faithful ministering brethren who labor along with the man of God in this way of holiness. As always, as I say, brothers and sisters, let's keep the apostle and his family in prayer, the ministering brethren and their families in prayer, and one another in prayers just the same. Some of us, I'm telling you, some people are going through depression, neglection, hurt, and stress and anxiety, and dealing with a death, dealing with a loss. A lot go through a lot in holiness. It's not jumpy and jump out. A lot of folks go through a lot in this way. So let's continue to keep one another in prayer. That's all from me, brothers and sisters. And also, don't forget, the podcast line is out now. You know what I'm saying? We got the clothing line on site. Go get your podcast. Go get it now. Support your boy now. And we're going to get it right now. Everything is done in-house. It's made in Canada. So go ahead and support. Your support is very grateful for those of you that can. But that's enough from me. Brother Tyshonn and Sister Danielle, let's go all the way back. Tell us, a bit of a background of, how y'all got married and all that left and right stuff. Tell us a background. Give us the ABC story now.
Lord have mercy. All right. Well, I'm originally from North Jersey. I'm from Elizabeth, New Jersey, born. Not really raised, but just born there, lived there for about 10 years, and then moved down to South Jersey. And my life has pretty much been, never really got into any trouble. Young man from the inner city, saying never, I always looked at it from a standpoint of, you look at some of your friends and they teach you basically what not to do, And I was very scared of my mother. so I didn't want to, be on her bad side, you know what I mean? So, but, hey, listen, I got my share of whoopings or whatever, this, that, and the other. But, trying to raise as a single mother, trying to raise, a male child, it can be hard, and I didn't want to really give her that stress that sometimes I see now, like a lot of kids are giving their parents and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, I just didn't want to have my mom going to an early grave dealing with, me getting arrested, getting in trouble, or me being shot or whatever, this, that, and the other. I just stayed the course, you know what I'm saying? So plus, just having good morals and a good upraising, that was, in a sense, people are like, oh man, your life was pretty boring. Yeah, but I'm 50 years old now.
Can't even tell.
I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? So, in a sense, I'm glad, I had my fun or whatever, but, I'm glad my life was boring. It wasn't too much excitement because sometimes, a lot of people are either in jail or in the ground. You know what I mean? So, it was, I really thank God that, a lot of stuff that I did go through, saying God, even at the time, I didn't know who God was or whatever, but, now I do know it was him that pretty much, pulled me through a lot of the stuff that I was in. But, but other than that, my life was, it was normal. It wasn't, too much, but, other than that, that's as far as me growing up, that was it.
A pretty
It
simple
wasn't
life. Simple
pretty
life.
simple life. Yeah.
No hardships or anything like that. And
Nah.
you're very disciplined from a young age because
Oh,
you had that
absolutely.
natural fear of not wanting to disappoint your mother, which that has gone out the window today because this generation's, I don't care what anybody think, and that includes mom and dad.
Exactly.
I'm gonna do what I'm gonna
Exactly.
do and all this type of stuff. And by the way, I'm gonna still live at your house of the bills that you pay, and I'm gonna try to do what I want to do over there too. Yeah. That's the generation we in today. That's what it is today. But no, that's great. That's great to hear that you didn't get into too much of stuff and so forth. And but Sister Danielle, your turn now. Give us a background about yourself, how you grew up, where you from, your whereabouts and stuff like that. How was it for yourself growing up?
Oh, okay. So I was born in Atlantic City. Then my mom brought us out here in the suburbs. I think I was in
Atlantic
like fourth
City, is that
grade.
like actual city name? Atlantic?
Yeah, Atlantic City.
Where's it close? Where's it near? I've heard that
It's
word
in
before.
South Jersey.
Oh, okay.
South Jersey.
That's where basically all the casinos, like all the
Oh, okay.
casinos.
That's where I get the name from. Yeah,
It's
welcome to the
yeah,
Atlantic City. I just thought there was
yep,
like a.
yeah.
Oh,
It's sort of like
okay.
Las Vegas, but it's like
In
Vegas, but
Jersey.
in
In Jersey.
Jersey.
So the ghetto
Yeah.
Vegas. Ghetto Vegas.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. You exactly.
I got it. Y'all can't afford to go to Vegas in Las Vegas. So just come over here.
Right.
Come right here.
Go to Atlantic City,
Go
yup.
to Atlantic City. All right. Got it.
Exactly.
Okay.
So so she moved us out here. I think I was in like going into the fourth grade. So I've been living out here in the suburbs. Not too much of a church background. It was seven of them. So they had the church, the Baptist background where they was forced to go to church. So her motto was when she started when she had her children, she wasn't going to force us to go to church, being that they was so-called forced to go to church. So she wanted us to kind of like find our own way. That was her method. So
Your mom's method.
yeah, my mother's method.
Okay, makes sense. I mean,
that's
so in that approach, I mean, with the growing up stage, how did that help you, like, not to say mentally wise, but did you find yourself kind of lost a lot of the times, or was it something, okay, I don't mind this. It's easier for myself this way?
not really. I mean, we had good morals. I mean, when we went to church, it was like, holidays like Easter, the normal Thanksgiving, something like that, but it was very rare. But we was grew up with good morals. My mom was really strict. She was single. It was just the three of us, and basically whatever she told you to do, you did. Because if not, you had to suffer, pretty much the consequences. So yeah.
Oh, that's good. Seems like where both of you relate in your backgrounds is you both grew up in single mother homes. And so now, from the background, and thank you both for expressing it, how did you both meet? Now, how did Atlantic City meet Elizabeth, New Jersey? Now, how did it come about? Where did that come about now?
Well, I was working in Atlantic City at the time, and I think she was in college. She was
I
in
was
school.
attending a community college.
He was in school, so taking the bus, public transportation every day, going back and forth to work, and it just so happens that she got on the bus one day, and of course I'm like, because usually
you never saw that before.
I didn't really see. You know what I'm saying? I say especially on the bus. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, So that was what? That was in '93.
Yeah.
That was in '93 when I met Danny, and on the bus, and a lot of people were asking, "No, where did you meet your wife?" Man, of course, everybody. Oh, you met at a club. You met at this, at a party. Now I met on New Jersey Transit.
Wow. And so, how was your approach? And I ask because a lot of the brothers in this, they struggle. I mean, I know you probably were in Holiness at that time, but how was your approach? How was your approach towards her? Because some they just don't know. You know what I'm saying?
No,
yeah.
Well, actually, he didn't approach me. He was on there with two other guys that I went to school with. Very obnoxious, the one.
Okay,
So I not really an argument. But I had got into a disagreement with one of them, and he just sat there watching. And so I pretty much said what I had to say to the other dude. But then I think a couple days later, we wind up meeting on the bus again, and I was being sarcastic. And I was like, "Where's your crew at?" Because I was under
so you
the
did it.
impression.
You the one that pulled the first move. Then, but you try to be slick though. She tried to be slick, eh? The sisters now, they're not gonna come out. Hey, how's it going? They're gonna be like, oh, where he at? Where he at? Because they know what that means. Like,
so
I was under the impression that he was rude and obnoxious, like they were.
She
but
didn't even know me, man. Didn't even know him.
Didn't even know him. Like, what's up? Oh my days, man.
I thought I was a rude boy. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. So where did it take off from? What your slick approach, sis? Where did it take off from there? From the move?
We just started conversating, just asking one another questions, but more so like as
he would tell an application.
Yeah, he said I was interrogating them.
Yeah, I was there to fill out an application, bro. You know what I'm saying? I thought I was going to jail, bro. You know what I'm saying? Had the spotlight above me. Like, yeah, it was good.
Well, some say it is a prison though, depending on the You can't go nowhere now. You can't go nowhere.
Right.
So I was arrested, bro, and I'm locked up, man.
Locked up. They're serving a life sentence now.
No, sir.
Oh, bad.
But it was like I said, it was funny how we had so much in common.
Yeah, we really did.
Being raised by a single parent, I have a sister, saying she have a sister and a brother, but raised in the inner city, our birthdays are pretty much almost the same. She was born July 20th, 1972. I was born July 15th, 1972.
Wow.
So it was like we had a whole lot in common, you know what I mean? So we kind of clicked, you know what I'm saying, from the jump. Once it got, she was comfortable with me not really affiliating myself with those two guys, because she went to school with them and she already knew how they were. But being as though she didn't know me, she didn't know that, I was completely the opposite of them.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we pretty much clicked, man. And from 93 until 97, I was courting her. And then 97 we got married.
Wow. And something, I love that you said there and it's something I noticed so clearly with Sister Danielle. It looks like who you were around was really like something that was important for her, which is something that's kind of overlooked a lot of the times, especially today. It's because, but usually it's like almost the opposite today. Oh, yes, he or she may be hanging around with them, but they're probably not, the same or so forth. Whereas in most cases, that's the case. Because if you're around them all the time, 24/7, if you're not like them yet, you're gonna pick up the habits eventually.
Right.
Now it's like that was something that was important for her. And now for yourself, of course, being interrogated, being asked a lot of questions, it did not push you away. But obviously, okay, I'm here to answer it. I'm here to fulfill, because some guys, after like 3 questions, it's like, that's it. Peace be unto you, sister. Peace
exactly.
Bye-bye. Exactly. Now, and so y'all recording pretty much from 93 to 97. And today's generation, but of course not with the teachings, they'll be like, yo, that's a long time. If a man if he ain't marrying you after 1 year, something wrong. If he ain't marrying you after 2 years, something wrong. And then, they got influenced by Beyonce. If he likes it, then he should have put a ring on it. And a lot of these guys that put a ring on it still sleep around left and right and right to the left. So I guess he didn't mind putting a ring on it. Yeah,
exactly.
Within that time frame, and once again, so during that time, you guys were not in truth at all?
No.
So how was that courting process? And now being in truth, and of course realizing the lefts, realizing the rights, getting, the teaching that you're getting now, what would you have done differently during that courting between 93 and 97?
Well, during that courting, we had 2 children, so
Okay.
that wouldn't have happened. You know what I'm saying? In a sense, but the thing about it, I've always had a mentality of, and I mean, not this isn't for everybody, you know what I'm saying, but I always had the mentality that the woman that I know that the woman that I know that I would have my children by was the woman that I want to marry, that I would marry. And I mean, some people but sometimes will have that mentality also, but even though that's not always the case.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because just because you have children by a person, that don't mean that you want, especially now with the teaching that we have, you know what I'm saying? That's something that you don't want to rush into, because basically the divorce rate is like crazy.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And now being in holiness, you there's no divorce. You know what I'm saying? So hey, you got to make sure that you getting it right the first time. You know what I mean? So, but yeah,
It was an
apostolic faith.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, so well, the church that I went to was apostolic, but I was kind of like, in 1 foot. I was like one of those, holiday churchgoers. You know what I'm saying? Easter, Christmas. You know what I'm saying? So, stuff like that. You know what I mean? But after having children, you kind of like slow down the pace, a lot of things, in this and the other. Because I always say, when you start having children, everything about you just goes out the window. It's about them.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying, I know, now that I have a family, even though we weren't, quote unquote married at the time, but I still considered this is my family. You know what I mean? And because me and Danny, we did was looking to get married anyway. So being as though we had the 2 children already, so we was just like, yo, hey, we might as well just go ahead. You know? But
one of the questions that you did ask, something that we would change. I know for me, I'm just going to be honest, we wasn't ready, and I'm just looking at it like from a financial standpoint. So we wasn't, we wasn't ready. So for me, I would have, waited until, we was a little more financially secure, and just pretty much like up on our feet, like whether it be entrepreneurial wise or job wise. So
pretty much be well established to bring kids in the world, because a lot of times folks just believe, look, we're just gonna go on faith. All right, making $8 an hour, working 2 hours a day. I think we should be good on that, unless the mortgages are 5 cents a month. then you'll be fine. Then you'll be all right. You'll be okay. And it's so important, because financial stability, a lot of times it's like overlooked or not even looked at all going into marriage. And then you end up talking about finances almost every single day, every single week, and over and over and over. And it just creates so many problems for the marriage, where you do love the person, you do want to be with the person, but you're tired of being broke. You're tired of being broke. You're tired of Listen, man, you can love somebody so much, but you just don't want to be broke. You don't want to. But while you're established, and I've always said it, it's like kids or parents like from the hood, they're having like, all these children out here left and right. They got 8 baby daddies and all that stuff. And those who actually have the money, have the finances, they're really taking the steps. Okay, for the first kid, we got about 20 to 30 saved up, or until we get 5,000 extra for the second kid. They're really calculating it. So I completely understand what you mean by the finance, because it's very important. Some believe, okay, look, you just come in this thing, you find a husband, you find a wife, and y'all just go by faith. But you got to put some works. And what's wrong with being established before you have kids come? Because you don't know what type of kid you're going to have. You don't know what emergencies you're going to have. What some don't understand, your paycheck could be $1,000. 900 of that probably goes to the kid from unexpected stuff. Babe, diapers. And okay, maybe the wife can't breastfeed, so now you got to get formula. Now, oh shoot, the baby fell. We got to go to the hospital. And Canada, those of you that watch in America, it's not free healthcare. Like we got it. It ain't not. It's not free. They have to be even more, established than, of course, us in Canada, because we're spoiled. We have free healthcare. We don't gotta stress going to no hospital and so forth. But I completely, understand. Now, before we get into like the advancement of when y'all came into truth and so forth, what advice would you give to those in truth in terms of how to look at finances while going into marriage?
Oh, well, I mean, of course, as far as speaking from the male perspective, I mean, because of what we've been, I mean, even though like sometimes you don't, my mom was a very avid saver. She saved her money. You know what I mean? So she didn't, and being as though she was a single mother, I looked at that as like, okay, she didn't really need a husband, or a man per se, to basically do for her what she could do for herself. You know what I mean? And even though like my grandfather was an entrepreneur, and both my mom had both parents in the house, because my grandmother was home, doing the house thing, and then my grandfather was out in the field, this and the other, catered to the farm and everything like that. And he also was an entrepreneur. He owned his own store and this and the other. So, so my mom kind of had that savers mentality, you know what I mean? So I looked at, that like, okay, well then, you know what? By me being the man, I'm like, I need to have that same mentality also, because if I want to, have a wife, have children, I got to make sure I have the finances to be able to take care. Like you said, back in the day, if mortgage was 5 cents, you'd be all right, making $8 an hour. But especially us living in New Jersey, and if anybody that lives in New Jersey, they know. Property taxes is even if you don't have a high mortgage, just the property taxes is outrageous. You know what I'm saying? Depending on where you want to live. Even if you're living in the hood, the property taxes is outrageous. You know what I mean? So but what I would, stress people, just to save, save and invest if they can, like if you don't have any children or whatever, now you have money extra that you don't have to, spend somewhere, where you can put it somewhere and then it just grows until you have the children. You know what I mean? So, and then like I said, and then even if you do have children, spending $50, $60. I never, looked at that. I'm like, man, spending $50, $60 on a 2-year-old for a pair of Timberlands or something like that. Yeah. Nah, man. Nah, man. Because they don't know what that is. Exactly. At 1 or 2 years, they don't know what that is. So I mean, that's how I took that mentality, you know what I mean? And I would suggest it. Take your time, you know what I'm saying? Make sure the account is nice and flooded, you know what I'm saying? Before you even look to approach somebody, especially even if you're looking to marry, you better make sure that you good. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You better make sure you good. And I teach, and that's what me and my wife, we teach our children that too. You know what I'm saying? The girls and the boys, teach them that, but yeah.
No, so pretty much it's very important to, as a male, have that establishment within yourself before you even go and communicate with that sister, with whomever, because now you're just going to fall into the time wasting and so forth. And of course, know how to keep that money, because I think a lot of times some will think, okay, the brother may say, oh yeah, I'm a doctor. And all of a sudden sister, she's all excited. Woohoo. All he said, he was a doctor. He never said he was good at managing money. He just said he said he's a doctor. And a lot of times people think because someone makes a high salary, essentially that they're very good with money. But some they just don't know. Because look, imagine growing from 18, 19, 20, 21 or so, and you've never really seen thousands of dollars. And now you become in the 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, and you're making maybe $500,000 a year. Some don't know what to do with themselves. So they're spending it on so much stuff, and they almost have nothing to their name saved up or so forth. So I completely understand what you mean in terms of saving enough. Make sure you have enough where it's like there's an overload. So even if you may not even have a kid, shoot, all right, we still got something. And if you have more and more, just keep stacking up. But no, that's some very, very good advice. And once again, I hope y'all take it, because it's very, like, finances is very important. Very, very, very important. I'm telling y'all right now, get your finances straight. So now, of course, y'all met, y'all courted, and now y'all married. Now what? Did you see any differences versus when you were not married versus when you were, or was it just kind of like that same flow and feeling throughout the whole process? When I say about the first few years in marriage, not the whole entire marriage, but the first few years. So was it like the same? So you guys were together from 93 to 97, and then let's say you're married now. Was there some, I'm your husband now, I'm your wife now, like, was any of that? How was that transition really?
All right, I know Danny has something.
When I see that hat, I know.
See the hat? It's coming. It's coming.
I just want to rewind a little bit. Like for me, like for the sisters, I would suggest that they know who they are first, like know their capabilities, like know their weaknesses and their strength, like pursue their dream, like if they're in school, make sure they completely finish school with, the high school, get that the high school diploma, get them, degrees. And then some of them feel as though like they're not ready for college, then try to pursue some type of entrepreneur career, but just don't lose who they are. Pursue, get to know them, get to know what they're able to do. Just not, I call them colleagues, but I know some that got married early, and a lot of the women, they tend to lose their identity. They feel like they lose their identity, and that's because they didn't, complete their college degrees. They put it on halt. So my thing is, don't put nothing on halt. If you're on the path of pursuing whatever career, whatever college, don't stop that to get married. Complete you first.
That's wonderful advice. So to understand, and she's just going back on what we're speaking of in terms of the establishment sisters, and this is once again great advice. Whereas a lot of times, yes, okay, the man's gonna be providing and all this and stuff like that. It still does not mean where you can establish yourself somewhere into this world. Because a sister, you can work and he may have enough money where it's like, oh, I'm still providing for everything. You keep doing you, but now it's like you have a career under your belt. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to, he may get sick. Something may happen to him. And now it's like, shoot, I don't have to look at it as, geez, I have my nursing degree. I have my internal medicine degree. I have my lawyer degree. I have my this degree where I'm established now. Say, all right, look, babe, you sick. I'm gonna try to do what I can do with this. And not even that, a lot of times what I see they do in America, some doctors and lawyers, they grow their own firm. Now that you know your own firm, as a sister, hey, you could maybe put your daughter on, you could put your son on, your kids on. So it's have your identity before you get married. Don't depend. Don't think marriage is what's going to make you have that identity.
Right.
I'm getting it. I'm understanding it now, because a lot of times, especially this generation, they feel as though my identity is, oh, I have a husband or I have a wife, especially when it comes to women. Because, oh, yeah, my dream is to be married. I'm married to this big star or whoever, this person, this man or this brother, and I'm that now, not realizing their identity is slowly going to be going out the window because you want to have something for yourself. And when you have something for yourself, you'll be able to even advise your children better because you went through it. It's going to be tough for you to advise your kids about the hardships in college or uni if you didn't really go through those hardships. And it's going to be tough for them to, not to say respect what they're saying. They're going to respect it because your mother and father, but at the back of their head, it's, Mom, Dad, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't understand. You understand? So sisters, you've heard the advice. Complete. I know it may take 5 years. It may take complete, and don't just try to go complete some quick thing for 6 weeks and say I'm established. Oh, I got something. You don't even know what you went for. You don't even know what you went for.
Exactly.
I got my CPR. Come on, a CPR. I'm established. Yes, I got my CPR. Just really establish yourself and seek, the top level where, say I don't have to go on the low end. I can seek, okay, I'm struggling with school. You can even take your time, or as Sister Danielle said, okay, maybe I want to go through the entrepreneur route, but there's a lot of things within the school that you can create an entrepreneur stream as, doctor, lawyer, construction, and all that type of stuff. So no, this is very, very excellent advice. I hope y'all are thriving now. I hope y'all are hushing, y'all are learning, and y'all are growing now. What the fuck can we? No, this is some. I'm excited because this is some very, very great advice. Very fantastic advice. So now, within what a sister you need to have, the brother, must have in terms of the sector of finance and identity now. So from that time being where, y'all recording and then y'all got married, what were some of the differences that came along with it?
Well, a lot of stuff that I, because I mean, for the most part, when you single, you pretty much, and even when you're courting, you still have some kind of identity of being single.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because you're not married.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So, a lot of things that in your mind that you kind of like think about, like, oh, well, at before where you didn't have to, what's the word I'm looking for? You didn't have to let people know what time you're coming in, when you're going out, this, that, and the other.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So, and I ain't gonna front even because I didn't have that, you know what I'm saying, before. So, I didn't have anybody really questioning me, you know what I'm saying? Yo, where you been? Or this, that, and now, what, unless they were my mother.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But other than that, I was like, what? Like, what you say? What time I got? Oh man, but as as the years go, just being more responsible and being more accepting to how she would feel in reference to that. Because even when you living with your mama, you know what I'm saying? Hey, if she said, yo, you gotta be in at a certain time, you gotta be in at a certain time, or you stay where you at. You know what I mean? Because the doors are locked. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you ain't gonna be able to just come in at wee hours of the morning and this, that, and the other. So, that's that was one of the things that I pretty much, it didn't take long, but it was like one of them things where, man, all right, now I got people, I got somebody that I do have to answer to, because I'm no longer single.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that was. But other than that, I mean, for the most part, everything else was, pretty much
easy.
Yeah.
Okay. And before we get to you, Sister Danielle, so and pretty much in understanding what you're saying, that discipline, it usually starts at home. Whereas, but hey, you're not coming home any time of the day. But a lot of times we're just respecting it as this is my mother and my father that can talk to me like this. Ain't about to be some girl talking. What you talking about? Especially Haitian men. If I call my dad, what time you coming? What do you mean? What are you asking for? What are you asking me for? Why you want to know where I'm going? Why? Like, or they'll say in Creole, in English, oh, am I a kid? Am I a kid? Not understanding the consciousness of like, it keeps that woman conscious. Pray for Haitian men. Not all of them now, because you got some in First Church, but most of them, I don't know if it's like something they ate back home before they came to the. No, it's like they all have the same pattern. It's something.
Oh really, man!
But now it's like you had to, and it's a big thing, because this right here, what you stated, that's what starts a lot of arguments. That's what builds a lot of trust issues, right? Because now, okay, and this is what I keep telling y'all. I know, and y'all, it was before y'all got married, but I'm talking to those, in the world who think, yeah, I got to live with the person first and all that. Because some always say, what difference is there after you actually marry the person? The person, one of them aren't dumb. They know that there's a leverage where I can be gone anytime, any day, any week, any month, any year. Versus marriage, it's the process. So that's why that girl you living with now, whoever watching from outside, I hope not in First Church, glory.
Right.
Right now, she's chilling. She's not saying nothing. But as soon as as soon as the signature starts to begin, yo, hello? Yeah, where are you going? Huh? What you mean where I'm going? Like you weren't doing this the whole time we were living together. Like, why are you doing this now? I'm married. Yeah. I'm wife now. You don't see when you change the caller ID, it went from my baby, my shorty, to wifey. That's why I'm asking. And for a lot of men, they don't understand that it's just simple respect and it's consciousness. How is it? How would it look now? Say I call Sister Danielle and say, yeah, we're tired. I don't know. Oh, okay. He must be somewhere in the house. Now he's somewhere out there. So he could be there right now. You don't even know. He could be on fire. So that consciousness, allows and look, if there's not that man is really hiding nothing, he's going to be able to let her know. Yeah, I'm just coming off work. No worries. It's a simple 1-2 thing. Now, some women, I get it. They overdo it. They want to know what time you pee at. They want to know what color the piss was. They want to know what toilet you went to, what time you went in that toilet. Did you talk to a girl before going to that toilet? Some of them do too much now. And then you have some men, it's the other way around. It's like, they really control. And I always say, when you have to control, are you married to a kid or are you married to a woman? So now when you get into that control, or you're not doing this without my permission, you're not doing that without my permission, to the point where the girl asks, shoot, can I breathe? With your permission, can I breathe or something? Can I open my mouth? And it just makes them uncomfortable. So I completely understand in terms of what you mean by that transition. But honestly, it's something that creates, I know personally, because from experiencing before I even got married or so forth, it creates a lot of arguments for nothing, where all the man just has to simply say to the wife, yeah, I'm coming from such and such, just so now she knows where you are. Something may happen. Oh, I know the last time I spoke to him, he told me he was coming off the transit. He told me he was, but literally, can't imagine a cop going, where is he? Listen, that cop may think the woman killed him or something. You're telling me you don't know where he is? You don't know where your own husband is?
Yeah.
Ron, I think we got an investigation right here. We got a 224. I think the wife killed the husband. You're telling me you don't know where your husband is? Come on now, Jersey, Atlantic City. Come on, John. Come on now. Come on. That's what they're gonna think. So I completely once again understand, but it's something so important to have. But of course, after having to go through that, all simple, pish posh, and everything was good on your end. Now, Sister Danielle, what were some of the transitions for yourself? What were some of the maybe challenges you faced beginning that marriage part?
Not being so independent. My my grandmother, they were some strong-headed women. So, it's like, what? I gotta, I was used to doing, going wherever and doing whatever. So to pretty much have to, ask him, can we do this? Or I guess that compromising, just sitting down. Because like I said, I was just used to doing whatever and going wherever. So that was a struggle for me too. And sometimes it still is. I'm like, wait, what? So
well, but you know what? I think for the most part, like what we compromise. Like I said, we have so much in common. You know what I'm saying? Which is kind of a rarity. But I even if she was like, "Yo, I'm going here, to going there, whatever." All right, because I just have that trust in her where I ain't have to worry about, her, because we didn't do the club scene.
Yeah,
we didn't do the party scene. We just we were just a different. I think we were just different. You know what I'm saying? We just didn't do that. You know what I mean? So I didn't like, me personally, I ain't like the club scene anyway, because it always seemed like jokers pulling out, getting shot, or whatever, this, that, and the other. I ain't want to be up in there like that, or getting into the, because I had so many fights and this, that, and the other. I was like, you know what? I'm done. You know what I mean? And it seemed like, when people like going back, it's like, why do you got to get drunk just to have a good time? You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of like, that just didn't make sense to me. So, so it wasn't really a hard transition where, I got guys go, yo, Ty, let's go here, blah, blah, blah. Nah, I'm good. I'm all right. I'm with my baby. So I'm chilling. You know what I mean? Especially then when we started having kids, yo, I not so much cut everybody off, but they just didn't hear from me, and as often as they did. Now if I do call, yo, what's going on? How you doing? Health check. You good? Everything all right? Okay, click. You know what I'm saying? Of course. And they because they are, and even my peoples, my boys and everything, they knew I was like that even early, like when I was younger. It was I was always like that. I was always that quote unquote responsible one, I guess, you know what I mean? But, you know, I wasn't the one to get in and everything, you know what I'm saying, and all kinds of stuff like that. And so I just carried it on in, you know, into now, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, but.
So how was that transition now, you know, from all that experience of, you know, what y'all had to go through in terms of you know, okay, yes, I'm coming, I'm here, going there. And of course, Sister Danielle, of just that independence, which is, in a lot of cases, you know, it's nothing wrong with being independent. You know, it's nothing wrong. And a strong woman, of course, she just wants a strong man to be able to take care of that dependence, because you know, independent woman's going to want to go with some lazy bum, you know what I'm saying, who, or somebody who just can't really, you know, listen. For me, I had my own car for me. I had my own house for me. I didn't have no debt for me. I was able to buy what I wanted. I was able to, you know, so that independence now going into a marriage, it's fine to have those expectations. And if that man that you're talking to just cannot give those expectations, then just go about your day. Because now some may want to go try and put those expectations on the man. Look, especially when it comes, when you mentioned the $50 Tims and all that, me, I specifically wanted my wife to be from the hood. Reason being is because I know that sounds odd to some, but hood girls and suburb girls are two different things. Two different ones, you know. Them suburb ones, they act like money really fall off of trees. They really do. Like it's like everything you have on is cheap around and stuff like that. What can I have? It would not have worked out. Even if I had all the billions, and it wouldn't, because they buy some of the dumbest stuff. What do I need $300 socks for? Tell me. Oh well, right. The texture on the socks I have is fine. It's $10 for 10 pairs at Walmart. I'm good with that. Leave me alone.
Right. That's right.
Having that, it helped because I don't have to worry to get that $60 Tims for my son. I gave a story. My mom had a home daycare. And of course, you know, I knew the families coming and stuff like that. One family, I'm talking about just clothes. I would put it like that. They just found clothes and put it on their kids. And it was my a cousin's friend. And he's telling my mom, oh my days, if you see their house, that house is all the way from east to west, like big and all that type of stuff. And mind you, the kids, they just had, you know, clothes and stuff. You know, they're a white family. But then the best dress, black kids and Adidas and Nike and Jordans and all this type of stuff, it wasn't the case. It was not the case. And so it's like that mentality, okay, I'm going to put $100 to $120 on my child, even though they're not going to remember. Look, no kid is going to remember, yeah, when I was 3 years old, I had J's on. I had, you know, you gonna get the shoes that you gonna get, or you gonna get them hand-me-downs, and that's about it. I completely understand, you know, where that comes from, because if that miscommunication is there, where one wants the 60 and 100, and it's not this because something, because they could afford it, get it. For me, it's just no sense. That's all. You're telling me I could have the same shoes on him where he can walk fine, he can run fine, and it's $5-10. But you want to get him this $100 and $150 because it's what's it gonna do? Make him jump higher? Will he be able to dunk at that age? At 3-4 years old? Then I'll buy it. You know, so I completely understand in terms of, you know, the independence, and, you know, in terms of, you know, the you know, letting the wife know where to go and so forth. But now that transition, you know, of being, you know, of course, you know, in the world and so forth, how did that transition come about now coming into holiness?
Ooh, man. Well, you know what? It's funny, right? Because when we first heard of Pastor Jennings, my sister was listening to him for about, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 1 year. And she just so happened to talk to Danny and said, listen, you need to hear this man. Just like almost everybody thought that, you know, Pass was a Muslim because he had the bow tie. And just like how Pass always say, you know, I never thought a bow tie had so much power, you know what I'm saying? Because everybody thought he was Muslim. Yeah. So, of course, you know, she, just like everybody else, almost everybody's testimony is the same. I'm searching through the channel, and then I come across this this loud man screaming and hollering. And then you got this bow tie on. We thinking that he a Muslim, you know what I'm saying? The next thing you know, he started talking about Jesus.
Yeah.
So she was like, oh, let me go back, you know, and then she's listening to him. She was like, oh my goodness, this is new. Never heard like anything like this before. And then, you know, she called into this was when the headquarters was on Frankfurt Avenue. And so she called into the church and, you know, was talking to one of the sisters, and the sister sent her some tapes, you know, and she just started listening and whatnot. And then she ran across Danny, was like, listen, I'm gonna give y'all a couple tapes. Y'all need to hear this man. And so I was at the time, I was no, I wasn't. No, because this was, I was looking to be a correction officer down in Delaware, and I was in the midst of my my training, and so when Danny started listening to him first, and so I was on my way to training, and so she gave me a tape. She's like, I need you to listen to this man. So I said, who is he? She's like, oh, the gentleman by the name of Pastor Gino Jennings. And your sister gave me the tape. I said, okay. So I, you know, popped it in the car. I had to leave at work at 5 o'clock in the morning, leave my house to get down to Dover, Delaware. And I popped that tape in, bruh. He had me cracking up from beginning to end because everything, I mean, literally everything that we was doing in our church, he was killing. I was like, oh, we can't do that? Oh, we weren't supposed to do this? Oh, I mean, I was just in total shock. I was like, whoa. I said, I guess we going to hell then, bro. Because everything he was saying, yo, you do this, you ain't supposed to do that, you ain't supposed to do that, you're supposed to do that. And I'm like, oh man, I was like, yo. And that's when, you know, you start really like taking your soul seriously, because we were just going with the status quo. You know what I'm saying? How church is supposed to be and this, that, and the other. Women preachers, we ain't know nothing about that. I mean, you know, image of having the image of Jesus Christ. We doing church plays and all kinds of stuff. We participating. Man, listen, I was like, okay, came home. I think, was it that same day? I think it was that same day. Came home. Danny was like, I don't know about you, but I'm done.
I wanted to meet him. I said,
She's like, I'm done. I need to meet this man in person, and we need to go over to Philly. And pretty much that's what we did. And I think the first time when we went over there, it was during the convention, so we kind of got lost. So we didn't really know where the church was, and then we actually found it. But one of my sons, you know, went to the bathroom on himself, so we couldn't really stay and go in there. So I went in there and I went upstairs and I saw Minister Williams at the pulpit. I didn't see Pastor Jennings, so I saw Minister Williams. And then when I came back downstairs, I said, I think I seen, because when I noticed the reader, I saw the reader. I said, I think there's Minister Williams on the pulpit. And she was like, and I was like, I don't know, I didn't see Pastor Jennings. So we wound up leaving. But we came back, I think it was like that Thursday. I think it was Thursday because it was a Tuesday, and I think we came back that Thursday.
No, we came back on a Sunday.
No, sorry, we came back on a Sunday, and you know, we was able to meet him and talk to him, and it was a breath of fresh air, because I looked at him, I was like, yo, man, yo, you you young, because your voice sound like, I thought you was some old man. And he was like, yeah, I get that, you know, but very down to earth, very cool brother. And for him, you know, like Paz always say, you know, being from the hood and stuff like that. So I kind of like, you know, like, man, yeah, you from the hood? Yeah, so much. I say. So a lot of the stuff that he was saying, I was like, man, you know, we just telling them, you know, about our life and basically how we got a chance to hear him, and you figure from 99, that was it, man. That was from 99 on till now. Wow. You know what I'm saying? That was it, man. For me, you know, it was a breath of fresh air. You know what I mean? Because for somebody that didn't really look at church really seriously, I didn't look at church seriously. I didn't. I just, you know, like I went there because my mom was going there at one point. But then when I got older, I wasn't going to church. You know what I'm saying? I was too busy out in the street, whatever, doing whatever doing whatever I did. Now I didn't have nobody, of course, you always have somebody praying for you, but then knowing what we know now, they was in falsehood themselves. So it's like, what they doing for me? They ain't really doing nothing for me. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of like, like, wow, it was really a breath of fresh air when you actually come into the knowledge of truth, and then you look back over your life, you like, wow, yeah, God really had mercy upon me, man. Seriously.
And you both were able to transition at the same time.
Yes.
Wow, that's a blessing.
Yes. It wasn't like, well, girl, you go ahead and I'm gonna just chill out and sit back and whatever. No, we both left the church that we was attending and went over. You know what I'm saying?
That's a blessing.
And I had a because because we was going in for a good while, and my brother-in-law, who was the deacon of the church, when I had told him, what I was looking to do, and he was like, well, why don't you talk to Pastor Jenkins? Well, our pastor, his name was Pastor Jenkins. So so he was just like, he's like, why don't you sit down and have a talk with him? They was looking to make me a junior deacon, bro. I was like, what is that? Junior deacon, so and it was funny now. I think when I think back on that, because when Pastor would say, yeah, they try to give you a title to keep you and all kinds of stuff like that. And I'm like, wow, they was gonna make your boy a junior deacon. And I was like, nah, I'm all right, man. I'm like, I'm good, you know what I'm saying? So they was so I sat down with the pastor, and I just told him, I said, listen, I appreciate all you've done. And, even though I didn't have to, but, I guess just out of respect or whatever, saying, I was like, you took us as far as you could. In my opinion, even though I wasn't really that heavy in the scriptures and all that kind of stuff like that out there, but I feel as though, especially for what little bit I heard from Pastor Jennings, was maybe a week or maybe a month. I was like, whoa. I said, and I told him, I said, you pretty much took us as far as you could take us. I said, now I'm, looking to move my family over to Philadelphia, you know what I'm saying? And he wasn't really upset or whatever, this, that, and the other. So I was like, okay, well.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so my transition from coming out into the world, coming into falsehood, it wasn't a struggle for me. Because number one, I didn't wear makeup, I didn't wear jewelry like that, and I want to say my mom was pretty much preparing me, but not know that she was preparing me, because she was the one. She's always say, keep wearing makeup, and you always going to have to wear it because it's going to age you. So I was just like, oh, okay. And then with the jewelry, she wasn't a jewelry person. She wasn't a drinker. She wasn't a smoker. I mean, she did smoke cigarettes, but like the drugs and stuff, the party and the club, and that just wasn't her. So coming into falsehood, it wasn't really a transition, because I was always one of them ones. Show me in the book. Like, if you can show it to me in black and white, show me where it's written, then okay, I'll follow it.
You said coming into falsehood?
Yeah, coming into falsehood. I'm telling you about my transition from out in the world to falsehood.
Also from out in the world and for okay. I'm just making sure. I'm just making sure.
Yeah. So now coming into holiness, it was nothing for me. Because again, wearing the pants wasn't an issue. The makeup wasn't an issue. The jewelry wasn't an issue. Being baptized in Jesus Christ. My thing was, show me where it's written. You know what I mean? If I could see it in black and white, then okay, I'm gonna follow it. You know what I mean? But in falsehood, although some of the things they didn't quite understand, but coming to holiness, though, it wasn't a issue for me. It really wasn't.
Oh no, that's good. No, it's honestly a blessing for both of you to be able to transition together, because I know some who are married, in holiness, but the wife or the husband's not in holiness, suffering. It's tough. I don't know what it feels like. I don't want to have to know what it feels like, but it's tough, because now it's like sometimes you don't even want to go home, always looking to do some you're looking to do extra work inside the church. You know what I'm saying? Y'all don't even sleep here. Y'all sure you don't even sleep here? I could be here 4 or 5 in the morning. I could sleep here. No, it's okay. I'll sleep on the floor. You good?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right,
So they just
right.
they just do not want to go back home at all. And so forth, so it's truly a blessing for the both of you to be able to, transition on together. So now, how was the transition in terms of marriage? You had that transition from, courting to, of course, getting married, but now it's like, okay, now we're in holiness, because of course the teachings of what holiness gives is very different than what, there's some stuff I've heard in holiness I've never heard, out there in the world. In the world, you're gonna get the common. You'll get some stuff, you know what I'm saying? Not like you won't get anything, but you'll get some stuff. But that some stuff, it won't make that marriage last. You understand? That some stuff, it won't keep that marriage together. But in holiness, it's just, oh my days, it's knowledge after knowledge. So how was that transition, for the both of you now? Okay, we're in holiness, we are married. Now what?
Yeah, I think for as far as for me was because Pastor Jennings is to me was as far as what I saw. I had some role models, what I'm saying, in my lifetime, and guys, older gentlemen that I looked up to, and this, that, and the other, and I got some great advice from, and this, that, and the other. I said, but now, like, I look at, I call him Pop, because I didn't have a father growing up. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't have, I had uncles and stuff like that, but and my mom basically, taught me all that she could teach me, what I'm saying, as far as from a motherly standpoint. Because she's not a man, so she's not a father. She don't, so I mean, and I guess sometimes you have to be the nurturer and the disciplinarian. So that's how I differentiate the two in reference to, all right, you being the mother and the father. And you got to be the nurturer and the disciplinarian. But the thing about it, there was a lot of things that I learned out in the street, or learned, what to do. Going back to what I say, I learned what to do and what not to do. Some of these guys taught me what to do and what not to do. So, and you just kind of trying to differentiate, what I'm saying, so you don't get in trouble. You know what I mean? But as far as, the transition, it was, Pastor Jennings, from really knowing what it takes to be saved. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of the churches that we went to, and a lot of churches that we used to go to, and this, that, and the other, and when we was in falsehood, they didn't really give you that raw with no chaser, teaching. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I love. That's what I love about it. It was surprising to me that when I first stepped into church, I saw all these men. Wow. And I was like, wow. I was amazed, because I saw all these men and young men. It wasn't like it was just old cats. It was young men, like middle age, young, like my age, and this and then I'm like, whoa, like this is, you know what I mean? Because the churches that I went to, basically, most all women. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? They rarely had anybody our age in there. You know what I'm saying? But either they was either too young or too old, so it was like nobody in between, you know what I mean? But yeah, man, it was like Danny said, I wasn't the kind of guy. The transition wasn't, for certain things that, there's some things that, yeah, we still got to come up to, but it's certain things like didn't smoke, didn't drink, so those things aren't hard. That weren't hard for me, you know what I'm saying? But there's some things that I do that I don't want to share, but but there's still some things that I do, have to come up to, and this, that, and the other. But yeah, the transition. Now, I'm not gonna say that it's easy. It is not easy, and just like they say, take your time. Take your time. Don't rush. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a long race. You know what I mean? And I truly thank God that he put Pastor Jennings in my life to lead me and guide me in how to be a better husband, how to be a better brother, how to be a better friend, and knowing how to do things according to the scriptures instead of doing things according to my own thinking. You know what I'm saying? Because our mind isn't like God's mind, and God has the best of mind. You know what I mean? So that's how I thank God for that. So, and how long we been there? Since 99. That's what, almost
February
20,
99.
February 99. So almost like 25 years going on.
Wow. So you guys, that's 25 years in First Church. And how long have you been married?
27.
Yeah.
27 years.
27 years.
See, man, you about to get me in trouble. Now I got to do some math, man. You know what I'm saying? Because she looking at me like, yeah, you go ahead and get it right, bro. Get it right. You better get it right. You better get it right. You better get it right.
Wow.
Yeah,
No, but that's so pretty much, your transition from, now married in Holiness, it was like an elevation for yourself pretty much, because you learned a lot more to be better, and you didn't have some of the struggles that certain men would in false would have, the smoking or drinking. So wife didn't have to worry about you coming home beating anybody and throwing things around and stuff like that. But no, that's fantastic to hear, knowing that here it is, you were married for a certain amount of time, and then now to come into a teaching, and to be able to elevate and now literally live most of your marriage in this way of holiness. Before we get to you, Sister Danielle, Brother Tyshonn, do you believe things would have been different if, let's say, y'all did not come across the teaching, y'all were not in holiness into your marriage? Do you believe would it have been, not to say a struggle, but would it have been of what it is right now today?
I think, because just the kind of guy that I was, just morally, you know what I'm saying, I strive to do things right. Just morally from what I was taught and how I was raised. I never, because I always looked at it like divorce never crossed my mind, you know what I'm saying? Even though with the teaching, but like I said, before we became part of First Church, we was married from 97 until we heard, about the teaching. And before, we hear about people getting divorced and all kinds of stuff like that. We just, me and, we talk a lot. That's one good thing about our marriage. We have a great relationship. We talk.
Communication.
You know what I'm saying? Communication is just, so it was just like a lot of things that we'll sit down, on the couch, and we just chopping it up like we old friends or whatever, this, that, and the other. And I think that's what's missing in a lot of marriages. You know what I'm saying? Especially the way things are now, everybody's working and this, that, and the other. They don't have time. Nobody sits at the dinner table anymore with their children and all kinds of stuff like that. It's like those times everybody's eating on the go. So it's like those times it seems like it's kind of gone. And then on top of that, with the husband is always working or the wife is working, and they see each other in passing. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what's missing in a lot of marriages, just communication, just talking, just having a conversation, just like how we're having now, just having a conversation, just talking about life, and, and even asking the question, like, do you think, we will still be together? Is that's just not, we always ask, yo, if we went to one pastor, would we still be together? And I would be like, yeah, because yo, we got 6 children. I ain't trying to pay no child support.
You got a reason. You got a reason.
I'm like, yo, I'm not the man. You know that old saying is cheaper to keep her.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I said, nah, man. We'll make it work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's how it makes you think.
Listen, listen, alimony and child support. Bro, we gonna make this work.
It seems like that's like the everyday life in America, though, and it's a lot of the suckers that end up falling for it are NBA athletes or NFL athletes. They really believe that this plastic doll really loved them and really wanted to be with them. All you are is an investment. That's all. That's all you are. They're just trying to strap a child for the next 18 years of their life. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's sad. It's sad.
It's sad.
That's all they're being used for.
That's the realness of it. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I don't think it would have been. I'm gonna put it this way. I'm glad that we did come into holiness, because of our salvation and saving our soul. Because knowing the teaching and what hell would be like, because hell was rarely preached in our church, man. You know what I'm saying? So when pastor be going deep into teaching about that, you like, whoa, you know what? I think I need to get myself together because I don't want to go there. You know what I mean? I'm scared to death to go there. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I don't think anything. To me, I don't think anything would have been different. But I'm glad that we did because now it enhanced us in how to what we've learned in our marriage and how to we just gotta go according to what scriptures. You know what I'm saying? We kind of look at everything. What Pastor teaching us, look at everything through the scriptures. Do we do that all the time? No. And the consequences of that, you know what I'm saying? It falls, you know what I mean? So, and then we got to go back, you know what I'm saying? And redo our work over. But nah, man, it's, I think we would still been just from our upbringing and just being more morally,
the
saying, the way we was
morals were
raised.
still there. The morals were there. And it was Sister Danielle didn't, she was raised morally right, by her mom. So that would have kept it. But of course, it's just to have the right church. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you know that your souls is at stake. And even then, that's even crazy because some would say, okay, no, bro, y'all good. Y'all in your moral state. Y'all fine. Y'all don't need no first church. Y'all chilling. Y'all don't have to do. But just the fact that y'all still had that and still decide, okay, now we need to come in this right. Nah, we need to get in this right now. You understood the seriousness it takes to really, of course, advance, in life. And of course, within, marriage and, children and all that type of stuff, because Holiness has teaching for it all. But for you, Sister Danielle, how was, that transition now that being married, you're in Holiness? Was there anything different for yourself? Was it a elevation for yourself? What for you?
It was growth. I truly thank God for Holiness because it taught me how to be a better mother, a better wife, a better sister, how to, appreciate myself, love myself. All I have to say is just growth. It's just growth, just the growth of it.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And now we're gonna get into some of the advice stuff before we close. Because some want to know now. Being married 27 years now, that's some time now. You're getting to 3 decades now. You get it there. You get it because a lot of the times now, when people hear the amount of years during marriage, it's just years in that marriage, but it wasn't actually the couples were really married. If that makes sense. What I mean by that, it's some they just put up with a certain thing for 20 some years. So that's what they're just on. It's almost as if it's only on paper, the fact that they're married for 10, 20, 30 years, but they only enjoyed 2 years out of that 30 years. So and that's but it sucks. That's a lot of it today. It's a lot of it today. But for yourselves now, one thing that I, of course, personally knew and witnessed a lot, from a young age was communication, and I don't know, once again, the Haitian men, Haitian women, they have their own ways and stuff like that. But it's how important is it? Because it clearly isn't important to some. It clearly isn't. How important is it not to simply have, communication with each other, just to simply say, hey, I'm going upstairs, watch, our son or so, make sure, he's 1 year old, or just, I'll give an example of myself, like just, oh, hey, Nikisha, I'm going upstairs, watch those eyes, just those simple stuff, instead of just going up the stairs and assuming, my wife is going to think that I'm there to watch him, and hear something may happen, he gets hurt. How important is communication like that, but just conversation wise? Because sometimes it's like some could only have conversations because they actually have to. Hey, the car, it needs to have oil change. Can you bring it there? So and so. Hey, I'm gonna go do groceries. Do I get the your favorite chips? Okay, perfect. Like literally, that's some conversation. That's some folks' conversation. Hey, I'm gonna go pick up the kids. All right, take it. Like that's it. There's no actual conversation where they can sit down or go for a walk, you know, and simply just talk like the married couple that they are. But it's almost as if, well, are y'all roommates or something? Like what's up with this? Or sometimes even roommates talk more than that.
That's
you know,
true.
so how important is it? 27 years of marriage, how important is it?
Oh, it's very important. Very important. Communication plays a good part. I mean, for the most part, if you've been together, like I said, we've been together for well, if you look at all of the time that we met from 93 all the way to 20, you know, that's about what, almost 30, 31 years,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, that we've been together. So you learn a lot about an individual, you know what I'm saying, being with them for 31 years, you know what I'm saying. 30? Is that 30 years?
Yeah, because we met in 93.
Oh, 93 years. Okay, my math is all messed up. All right, well. So, but for 30 years, it was just not that, you know, I'm a mind reader or anything like that, because sometimes I always tell, I'm like, oh, I ain't no mind reader. And then she was just like, you should know. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? but you know, but I mean, but for the most part, communication is a big thing. I look at it like this: you gotta talk it, you gotta talk it out. You know what I'm saying? Whatever's going on, you gotta talk it out. You know, but like I said, with me and her being together, you know, being married for 27 years, you you get to know your spouse. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes people hide things, you know what I'm saying? And like Pastor always say, give it time. Whatever's in a person is going to eventually come out, you know, but it takes time, you know, so whether it be good or whether it be bad, you know, it takes time, you know what I mean? But and I think that's one thing, being in holiness, it gives you the knowledge, you know what I'm saying, you know, and knowing not to just, she don't have to always depend on me, and I don't have to depend on her. I could depend on God, you know what I'm saying, for a lot of things, you know what I mean? But and I can go and I can go to her. I can go to God fasting and prayer to get certain things done that she may not know that I'm going through, and I may not want to burden her with that, and vice versa. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, it's but we're a team. You know what I'm saying? And when you know you playing soccer, this then the communication is, when you're on the team, communication is a key. You know what I'm saying? And so you know we're a team. So we're Team Williams. You know what I mean? So that's how we roll, man. You know, we just try to keep it super simple, man, and just live to please God, live to please each other, and you know what I'm saying, and then be a help to our community. You know what I mean? You know, whether it be our church community, whether it be our community that we live at, and this, that, and the other, man. You know.
But yeah, communication is the key, though. You know, especially when you raising the kids, because you know, 'cause they'll try to play one against the other.
Yeah.
So you know, got to be on one page. You got to be on one accord.
And how and no, yeah. Did you have more to say?
Oh no.
Yeah. No, and now, of course, you know, a question I impose of the communication, and maybe you could both speak on, you know, a brother's perspective and a sister's perspective. How important is communication after a argument or a heated argument? And now some may say, "Oh, people get into arguments in marriage, not me." Oh, no. You go listen. You go. If you have a marriage out there and you have never been in one argument in your entire life, does he or she love you? So do they love you? Like what? You tell me everything you said. All she just did is say yes. All she did say, oh my days. Like how important is that? Because it's so easy, you know, brother, you know how brothers get. You know how, you know, they is and stuff. I don't want to talk.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm out here. And then you have the woman following him around all over the place now, following him to the kitchen. Now we gonna talk. We gonna talk about this.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you think she's gonna follow you to work. She gonna follow you all
Yeah.
How? So where is the importance in that? Because of course, when those come or when that comes, it's tough sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know, you love a person, all that stuff, but what advice would you give for one, you know, who is not yet married, or one who is married? Okay, look, yes, you got into an argument. Here's what, you know, you wouldn't do, and here's what, you know, you think or you believe would work. to get done.
Well, one thing about it, like you can't let your emotions get the best of you. That's one thing that we learned. I mean, me personally, I was, being as though I was, raised by a single mom. I was, I had a sister and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And I was very protective.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, you ain't putting your hands on none of my ladies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I didn't believe in that. No matter how mad I would get or angry I would get, you know what I'm saying? That was definitely a no-no, putting your hands on the sister. You know what I'm saying? Even to the point, if you got smacked and you saw stars, you know what I'm saying? Hit. you just take it, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, I got a little tear coming down. You just take it, you know what I'm saying? Take a walk, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh man, she really hit me. You know what I mean? But I mean, listen, you can't be married for 27 years and have no hard arguments, man.
Yeah.
And man, I mean, listen, ain't no pots are flying and no, dishes crashing and all kinds of stuff like that. But but you have some, you have some of them heated arguments where it's like, come on now, you know what I'm saying? But then you eventually gonna have to come back. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all live in the same house, you sleep in the same bed, this, that, and the other. I ain't going to no hotel. I know. I ain't spending no money going on no hotel. No way.
Or going on no couch now.
You ain't going on no couch.
I always tell my wife, I may be born in Canada, but I'm Haitian, but I got a Haitian background. I'm gonna come inside my house. Oh, honey, no, you're sleeping on the couch tonight. What? Who are you talking to? I'm not even gonna start. I'm not even gonna speak English. I'm gonna speak that broken Haitian English. Who are you talking to? You telling me to sleep on the couch? The couch I'm paying there for. The house I'm paying there for. You are crazy. I'm going. Oh man.
Oh man. Yeah. Nah, but I mean, for the most part, we we pretty much, like I said, we like whenever we have a it may be a day or something like that, and then we'll come back or whatever. You know what I'm saying? One I ain't gonna especially we brothers, we like we like that, man. But sometimes we just gotta be like, yo, I apologize. What's wrong?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and then you like, all right, and it's tough, man. But it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'd rather have peace. Yeah. I'd rather have peace, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, then all the money in the world, I'd rather have just peace. Not to say I don't want no money, but
of course.
But I'd rather have peace, man. It's so, but because when you see the things that people are going through, and then you hear about the things that people go through, you like, woo. Thank God for teaching. Thank people that I talk to, and some of the people, like some of my coworkers, and the issues that they're having in their marriage and stuff like that, and then when they look at me and they like, wow, you look so young. They're like, how old are you? And I'm like, I'm 50. They're like, how long you been married? Like 27, going on 28 years. They was like, really? Like, that's not a norm. You know what I'm saying? Nowadays, that's not a norm. The average marriage is like 5 years. You know what I'm saying? But I say, yeah, man. But it's something that you got to work at. You know what I'm saying? It's not a perfect marriage. You know what I'm saying? Nothing is perfect. I said, but you just got to work. You got to work at it. You know what I'm saying? Then there's compromise. There's compromise. And then sometimes you got to put your ego to the back seat. Sometimes, us being men, we got to put our ego to the back seat. You know what I mean? Not that we being soft or anything, but if we wrong about something, we wrong. You know what I'm saying? And we just got to admit that we wrong. But like I said, I still ain't sleeping on no couch, and I ain't going to no hotel.
The couch is one thing, but now you're telling me to go spending the money at the hotel.
Listen, or I'll just be like, look, I'm going down to the couch to watch TV. And then fall asleep on the couch. But I ain't sleeping on the couch. I'm just going down to watch TV.
Exactly. No, of course, of course. What about yourself, Sister Danielle? I get you already put in the word, the controlling your emotions in there. How about on a sister's perspective, the woman perspective? Because we know sometimes women, it's like not all now, not all, but it's just because one thing, I guess I don't know where this analogy came from. Or listen, in marriage, the woman, she's always right. Okay, she's always. I remember asking my dad this one time. Old fashioned Haitian. Daddy, you believe in marriage where women they're always right? No, she's wrong. I'm going to tell her she's wrong. What is that? She's wrong. That's what I'm saying. I don't know where that stuff came from. So learn for yourself, sis. How important is that communicative aspect after could be a heated argument or so.
Just evaluate what you arguing about. How did it start? The purpose of it, and like she said, just putting your ego aside. Don't be so caught up, in your emotions. And and if you're wrong, just admit that you're wrong. Even if it takes you a couple of days. Being honest, if it takes you a couple of days, like, all right, I just thought it over hard, long and hard. Okay. Yeah, I was wrong.
Yo, now you see that, right? You see, ours is instantly.
Yes.
Yeah, we wrong. Yeah, we wrong. Couple days,
huh? It's almost like it's like the credit. It's like when people are taking credit card, they quick to take the money, but when it's time to refund, a few business days now. A few business days. It wasn't a few business days for me to pay, but now it's a few business days for me to get my money back.
Give it back. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I see. Understood.
Oh man.
No, but it's essentially you just have to be humble. To get that apology out and really mean it, because it could be tough, especially when you're riled up, and sometimes you were riled up and you were wrong the whole time. It's a funny thing. It's a funny situation in that aspect or so. But being men, and of course, being women, and just having to evaluate, because sometimes people arguing, they don't even realize they argued so much, they forgot what they was even arguing about.
Yeah, exactly.
What happened? Oh, I don't know. I forgot, but no, it's those are some very important key points, understanding the root, and of course, controlling your emotions, because knowing now, once you're in your emotions, that's when, man, anything could spill out. So have a say to try to control that. If you can't, pray to God that it can be controlled. But now, of course, a question I have that I believe is very important in marriage. How important is your marriage to be literally between your wife and you? Of course, if you're going to go for help, you go to the apostle for help, but not having people, argument happen. I'm finna go talk to this and she's finna go talk to that. How important is it to have that privacy in that marriage? And why is it important? Because some feel as though, I'm going to tell my mom everything. I'm calling my uncle, telling him everything. I'm calling my cousin Trivana, and she's going to do all this. How important is it to maintain that?
Yeah, I mean, you keep, we keep it amongst ourselves. It's good to be private. I didn't marry, I married into her family. She married, she's married into my family. But if we have anything that, that's our business. You know what I'm saying? And we keep it our business. And if we want somebody in our business, we'll invite them. Exactly. But if we feel as though they don't need to be in it, they don't need to know, we just we keep them out. Right. Wisdom that that pastor would say, you keep family and friends out of your marriage, because a lot of times, you trying to get advice from a single person. What kind of nonsense is that? You may have some people that do got some knowledge or whatever, this, that, and the other, but are they speaking from a marriage perspective, or are they speaking from a single person's perspective? Exactly, You know what I'm saying? Because if they're not married and they don't know nothing, and then on top of that, it's like, you got like 3 or 4 wives. How can you tell me anything?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, we can pretty much work it out with the help of God. That we don't need outside advice within reason, to the point if we have to go to the apostle.
Yeah.
But other than that, but what we're being taught over the pulpit, we don't have to go knock on his door.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
If people pay attention.
Yeah,
most
if
of the
you're
time
paying
during
attention.
service.
Yeah. If you're paying attention, you don't have to knock on the door, because everything is being taught over the pulpit.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? He got enough on his plate as it is. So, we come knocking on. Yo, my wife be wearing her socks in the bed. You don't sound stupid like that. I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? What should I do? What? You know what
Go to sleep. Go to sleep.
Exactly.
Go snore. No, but it's crazy, because a lot of people don't realize, when you just go and spill some business about an argument just to one person, not to like say like going to the apostle or whatnot, but just to like somebody out there, you probably almost just messed up your entire marriage, because now they know the go along. They're gonna think that they can treat you in some type of manner, and you had no idea that they knew about what was going on. And then you find out your wife or the wife found out the husband want to go chat left and right. So, sometimes it's tough to even come back. It's difficult, because now you invited somebody in this, and on top of it, you invited CNN. If some of you don't get it, CNN is pretty much a news broadcast, and some people, that's exactly how they are. But listen, by the time you already told them, while you was on the phone, already 10 different people know. Already 10 different. How Haitian women do it? They be getting the phone. They be like, yeah, yes, Joseph and Manushka. But don't you didn't get it from me. You didn't get it from me.
Yeah.
Yes, Lisbeth, did you hear what happened? Yes, you didn't get it from me.
Yeah.
And they just keep going on and on and on and on and so forth. So, of course, privacy is very important. And if need be, well, not everybody has the apostle. If you trust the local minister, where you are, then, you go to him for that advice and so forth. And did you have anything to add on, Sister Danielle?
No, that was pretty much it.
Pretty much it. Perfect. Well, no, it's honestly within the advice y'all gave. I'm just of course gonna close with one last question. I hope, because sometimes the answers bring another question. In terms of now, married 27 years, what advice would you have for a brother or sister in truth who has the desire to get married? Because some, once again, they really don't know what it is. And these movies out here, I don't know what fairy tales they've been spilling and spewing on people out here. What advice would you give for those who really have the desire right now watching? You're gonna have someone watching right now, single, sisters sitting down watching, a brother sitting down watching, or wherever they are, or listening on the Spotify and whatnot. What advice would you have for them from your experience now? From your 27 years old, from all your experience now.
I would say, especially with young people now, keep your intentions, as far as like if you have interest in a brother, interest in a sister, whatever, keep it private. You know what I'm saying? Don't be broadcasting it, this, that, and the other. Excuse me. And even if you and a brother and sister are in talks or whatever, keep it private. Make it where it's like people wouldn't even know that you were a tandem or anything like that. And also, very, very important, man, get counseling. Get counseling, bro.
Get counseling.
Get it.
Don't get counseling. Get
counseling, man. Absolutely, because I'm telling you, man. I truly believe that if a lot of people have gotten counseling before,
good counseling, good counseling. I have to add.
Good counseling.
I gotta add that.
If I'm talking to those that are in holiness and first in the truth, Pop, aka Pastor Jennings, get that counseling, brother and sister, because I'm telling you, a lot. Or if Pastor Jennings appoint somebody, you know what I'm saying. But I would say get that counseling, man, because a lot of people have you know, didn't take to heart the counseling that they have gotten, and you know, and their marriage, you know, is a wreck. You know what I mean, so to speak. So I would, and when you do get counseling, take it to heart. You know what I'm saying? If you're not ready, you're not ready. You know, if you know whatever he says, just because I look at Pastor Jennings, you know, that's why he's our overseer, because he sees further than we do. You know what I'm saying? Um, who's to say who's to say that, you know, if me and Danny got counseled by a pastor, you know what I'm saying, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But you know, we were married before we came in. You know what I mean? So but yeah, but before you jump that broom or say your I do's and all that good stuff, you better get some good sound counseling, brother, sister, for real. That stuff.
What would you say to one saying, but Brother Tyshonn, I feel it in my spirit.
Counseling.
I feel it.
Counseling.
But Brother Tyshonn, I counseled myself, and I'm a great counselor. I'm a fantastic counselor, brother.
I got a degree. I got a
degree
in counseling.
I'm a counselor.
I'm like, well, take your master's degree and your bachelor's degree and go right to Pastor Jennings. And get that counseling.
Get more counseling.
You can't have you can't have enough counseling. Exactly. Get more counseling, all right?
Oh yeah. Because you know you're gonna have something like that. You're gonna have someone like that. Bro. I feel it in the spirit. I've counseled myself. I feel it in the bones. I was sitting down one day at Starbucks and I was just talking to myself. I said, "Self, you are ready. You are ready." Oh my God. It's very important. I completely understand. Yeah.
Yeah, take it, and you know, like I said, take your time. I mean, for the most part, it's like don't rush into things, and you know, for the most part, like a lot of people think that okay, if they have a child or whatever this, then the other by a certain individual, that they have to marry that person. No, that isn't the case. You know, because a lot of people have done that, and now they're locked, stocked, you know, they're locked, you know what I mean? And it's a shame, and you feel for them, but you can't get out of it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, ooh, sometimes me and Danny be looking at each other like, wow, yeah. Like, thank God, you know what I'm saying, that, you know, we was able to, you know, we didn't have those issues. Thank God that we didn't, you know, have to worry about that, you know, those issues that some of the people that, you know, when people stand up testifying or they're, you know, they're talking and whatnot, and they, you know, share how, you know, the stuff that they went through and or even going through now. And we just sit back and be like, thank God for truth. You know what I'm saying? Because man, if I think our life would be totally different if it was, you know, if we didn't have truth. But you know, but because like I said, backtracking to what we said earlier, the morals we had, but now just knowing who God is, so we can know who we are. You know what I'm saying, as individuals, and then you know we're gonna look at our life according and how we're gonna handle our business according to what the scripture says, how the scripture says. So, but yeah, man, I love it. I love it, man. Wonderful. I love it, man.
Wonderful. And for yourself, Danny?
It's the same thing Tyshonn said.
Stop playing.
Nah. Now you need to speak on a sister's perspective now. A sister's perspective, because a brother may have one way. Of course, the sister's going to have another. But for sisters now, what message would you have being 27 years of marriage? A young sister, you know, listening right now, tuning in, and, you know, just wanting to know, okay, what should I do? How should I prep? And all this type of stuff. What advice would you have for that, you know, younger sister who has the desire to get married?
The same thing Tyshonn said. I'm trying to just go for counseling. Do not avoid counseling. That's it.
Yeah.
And how important as well would you say it is for, you know, a sister and a brother to maintain the reputation? And what I mean by maintain the reputation is like, imagine now, you know, you Tyshonn, you meet Danny, and it's like, yeah, I've been with Tyrone, Jamal, Craig, Lewis, John, Ezekiel, James, Rock, Peter, and Fraser. Or this guy came from Africa, so Baba Tunde, Yadodo, Bala, from BZ, Lee, Chi, Fee, you know.
Oh man.
Like how important is, a reputation like that. And what I mean is, like, imagine, a brother wants to talk to a sister, but the sister, yeah, I don't talk to this one, that one, that one, that one, and that one, and this one, and that one, and this one, and this one. It's like mind-wise, you're gonna, okay, whoa, what's going on here? But how is one able to maintain that? Because yes, they're gonna see by the eye, but how can they be careful in terms of not going to try to talk to every meat they see, or not invest in that? Because clearly, of course, you've seen different, women in your lifetime growing up. But of course, Danny, she obviously got your attention when she went on the transit. So now how does a brother and how does a sister, would you say, just maintain that reputation in terms of, that singular reputation to say?
I think for the most part, I'm speaking from a worldly perspective. Like most men are concerned about a woman's past, most women are concerned about a man's future because of status. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if a woman has a lot of men in tow, what I'm saying, not too many brothers are pretty much, I mean, from where I grew up in, not too many brothers, are gonna, especially if you're looking to marry, you know what I'm saying? A lot of brothers will pretty much, kind of shun away from that. You know what I'm saying? Wherein that, a woman, is looking for a man's, future, and if he's gonna be pretty much a guy that's gonna have status, meaning being successful, meaning that he's about his business, meaning that he's gonna be, what I'm saying, quote unquote marriage material. You know what I'm saying? But but it's hard, man, you know what I'm saying? Because like if most men want a private sister, you know what I'm saying, that ain't what we would say been around the block. Yeah. Not so much just not betting anybody or having sexual relations with anybody, but just she's been around the block, been around, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, Peter, Paul, James, all that stuff, you know what I mean? That kind of like, and not to say that she's not a good sister, you know what I'm saying? But that's just, it's like, yeah, like you be walking past a conversation, like, yeah, I was with her, this and the other for a couple of months. Exactly. Yeah, then you hear another brother that I was with her for a couple of months, this and that. I'm like, well, dang, everybody had you, you know what I'm saying? It was like, so it's kind of like a slippery slope with that, you know what I mean? But for some men, it's like, nah, you got that many bodies behind you, I ain't fooling with you. You know what I mean? But like I said, she could be a good sister, but maybe her decisions, saying, and what she was looking for, this, that, and the other, just her decisions, that she may have made some wrong decisions in that, but which may or may not cost her to have a good partner. You know what I mean? But like I said, I'm just speaking from because we can't. But then when you go to the scriptures, we can't judge somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
We can't judge anybody.
Or just put a wrong judgment or anything.
Exactly. Like, you know what I'm saying? But then you wouldn't want to be that person that goes around. That goes around anyway. You know what I'm saying? You want to be private. You want to be. You don't want too many people in your business. You don't want. Exactly. You know what I'm saying?
Or simply like be reputable, pretty much, like reputable.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if it is that she's talking to that, what maybe it's church business, and she just gets down to that. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe because it can turn off a brother, where it's like he's talking to the other brothers. Yeah, there's a sister I was talking to a couple months ago, but yeah, what's her name? Oh, sister around the way. Sister who? Oh, brother, you was talking to her too? Yeah, bro, like me too, man. Like she's something with, it's like right there. Dang, you put it, the man's gonna put in his head, shoot, man, maybe I'm just a number. And same thing vice for the sister. She gonna think, maybe the brother, okay, what's this? Not every sister knows every sister could just run up on you and left and right and all this type of stuff and dangle and doozle, or all of them happen to just be in love with you. Did you lead them on in that sense? So it's just, of course, maintain that privacy and so forth. But of course, to conclude, how grateful are you to God for Pastor Gino Jennings in terms of, his teaching on marriage and how the advice and all
man.
that. How grateful are you for that?
Oh, I'm eternally grateful, man, because it like I said, it taught me a whole lot, because like I said, I got married very young.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I ain't know. I just go off of what I'm seeing. You know what I'm saying? Not what I've been taught. Because even in our old church, we didn't, teaching wasn't really heavy on there was a lot of shouting and running around and this, that, and the other, but it wasn't really no teaching. You know what I'm saying? So being married at a young age, I think 24, 25, 24. So it was kind of like we're going in head, and we got counseling and everything like that. You know what I'm saying? But I'm pretty sure it's not comparable to what if Pop had counseled us. You know what I'm saying? So, but I mean, with the help of God, we made it work. But I'm eternally grateful for Pastor Jennings, because he basically taught us, like I said, how to be a good father, a good husband, a brother, what I'm saying, companion, what I'm saying, and it's just, it ain't about me, man. It's what I say goes. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to be this humility and got to be not so much getting in touch with our feminine sides, how people would say, but just having just humbleness about us. You know what I'm saying? And knowing when to admit that we're wrong, and knowing how to say these two words, I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? Without any, regret for saying that, So yeah, man, I love it. I wouldn't change anything about it, man. You know what I'm saying?
Wonderful.
So
Wonderful.
sincerely from the heart. Yep.
Wonderful. Thank you both for taking the time and coming on and giving some good juice,
Yes, sir,
sharing,
man.
a bit of your testimony and giving some good, knowledge for marriage and so forth. And it's honestly a blessing to be hearing.
Thank you, brother Sundin.
No, thank y'all. Thank y'all for really taking the time to come on. As I say, moreover, I know, especially those, married with children and so forth, it's, you have more of a busier schedule, and those that are able to make the time, I'm truly grateful, because it encourages a lot. It teaches me a lot. I know if y'all was looking for just one person to get something out of this, you already got me, so it's just so good to have those, experienced, within, being married for that many time, for that long, and still, being able to look how you look and still have that vibe to continue on and go on stronger. Whereas it's like, from what I see and witness, I just, I love to see growth in that aspect, versus it's almost like some are just, as the years goes on, it feels as though it's like dying down in that aspect. So, but I'm thank you very much for coming on. Once again, both of you, thank you very much for the advice, and just may God continue to keep your marriage, and may that it continue to grow, one year at a time,
and man, I mean, well, that's what, and just on the side note, just because you're in the holiness and you're in the church and stuff like that, you're married. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you want to keep that spark in your marriage too. You know what I mean? So it's like, hug your wife, kiss your wife. You know what I'm saying?
Be fun. Be
fun. Be fun. Have fun, and what I'm saying, do things. You know what I mean? So it's not like you just going to church and just come home and that's it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Enjoy. She enjoys me. I enjoy her.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So, and that's, I mean, marriage ain't just all that, but it's more to take. But you know what I'm saying? But don't just think that because we in holiness and we gotta just read the Bible and
just come home.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to bed now. Good night. Yeah. Spirit is with me. Yeah, I know.
Anytime it's time to have fun, it's no time to have fun. The Lord is coming now. He's coming. He's coming back. he's coming back. We got no time for that. Why you laughing for? It's not gonna. They're not gonna be laughing when they're burning in eternal hell now. They're not gonna be, oh my, like I would not be able to last 30 seconds around somebody like that. The moment you say the first time, all right, God bless and peace be unto you. God bless and peace be unto you. God, yeah, man, I'm just at the gym right now, brother. You need to be working on your salvation. You need to be. That's what you need to be working out on. You need to be working out on that. Well, you got no business being in the gym, so I can't go to the gym now. I can't go to the gym now. Oh, it's just and some of you may say people are really like this. You know, you'd be shocked.
Yeah, they are.
You would be shocked and so forth. Yep. So I completely understand. You know, keep that spark going. We're in holiness, but it's not a sin to have fun as long as that doesn't contradict the word of God. It's not wrong to love your wife and cherish your wife and, hey, baby, you look beautiful today, or get her flowers on a random day, you know, or just kind of, you know, taking some hints. Maybe she's having a rough week. Maybe I can get her favorite, you know, maybe it's fish or steak or whatever the case is. And, you know, just look at it into that perspective in terms of what you're saying and keep that spark going on. And we can tell that spark has been going on. 50 years old, no white or grays or nothing like that. I see how it is, older. I see how it is, older. I see you, Danny. I see you, Danny.
Yeah, bro.
All right. Oh, man. I completely understand. But, you know, it's once again, very, very, you know, good advice for those, you know, married and those. And of course, one thing to add on, make sure you know who you're marrying in that aspect as well. Are you marrying somebody so serious, or are you marrying someone who likes to joke around? And people knowing me, I'm a joker, but you know, I have my limits and stuff like that. Y'all pray for me now, though. Y'all pray for me. I just think it's in the Haitian system and blood. Like it could be a burial. It could be a burial going on, and the joke. Oh my days, the jokes will just come out of nowhere and stuff. That's my dad's fault, though. That's his fault. You know, just the clothes. We were at a funeral a long time. You know, I think this was way before I was in Truth, and you have people crying and everything. Yeah, my dad, he tells us in Creole, he's like, man, there must be a pill that these women drink. I said, why? Because none of them ain't got no hair. What's going on? Because most of them, they either had wigs or weave, or it was just like they barely had any hair.
Wow.
And I'm like, you gonna see this in my ear right now? And you gotta kind of like continue, because you can't just bust out laughing and here it is. So it's just, you know, I'm not like that though. I ain't like that though. I ain't like that. But of course, it's just like, people who know me, that's how I like to be and so forth. So, but no, once again, brother, thank y'all very much for coming on. May God continue to keep y'all. Sir. May God continue to strengthen y'all. May God continue to fight with y'all. And may y'all continue to have that spark in your marriage. And I pray that if you even 100, well, by that time you may have gray or white. But hey, you never know.
It's coming.
It's coming.
I gotta listen, bro. I got a little bit. You know what I mean? I'm proud of myself.
You're proud of it. You're proud of it. So you're not gonna be like the slick ones and try to shave it bald.
No, sir.
I went bald, brother. I went bald. Now you had grays, bro. You had. I just wanted to go bald.
Oh man,
thank y'all very much for coming on. Those of you watching, once again, tune in, share this left and right. You know, as y'all can see, once again, the only way I can continue to have this going on is to get couples. And the couples that are coming on this is those who are in holiness, who are able to give, you know, advice and so forth, and those that have been married for some time and so forth. So thank you very much, all of you, for listening. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you once again, brother Tyshonn and Sister Danielle, for coming on. This is your brother Sundin Esperance. Y'all take care now. God bless and peace be unto y'all. All of y'all watching, take care and peace be now.
All right.